Hi there, this is Elise Benin, your marketing mentor. And this is the podcast for you if and only if you are ready to leave the feast or famine syndrome behind, and I mean for good. The big question among creatives in my community these days, and for a while now actually, is, will AI replace me? That question is about whether your clients will choose AI over you, a human. But I also hear that question another way. Are you already replacing yourself with AI? And by that I mean, are you running everything through AI now and not making decisions or publishing your own content without AI's approval? I'm hearing that a lot. So maybe the real question is, are you becoming dependent on AI and letting it replace you? And that is actually just one of the many questions I covered in my latest conversation with Nancy Ruzow of Ruzow Graphics and Creatives Roundtable. And it was prompted by an article on Nancy's blog entitled, AI Isn't Replacing Creatives, It's Changing Where We Add Value. So listen and learn. Hello, Nancy. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Nancy Ruzow, Ruzow. No one ever gets that right. I have had my graphic design business. April starts year 41.
Wow.
Graphics. Yeah. I'm a little bit ahead of you. And I've been running Creatives Roundtable since 2017.
Wow.
It's a small group coaching and accountability and Slack community. And I just stopped teaching typography as an adjunct professor. So I'm down one and cutting things out.
Why did you stop?
It just became uncomfortable there, and the hours really cut into my schedule a lot. I love the students. I didn't necessarily love everything else about it. My commute was long. So I just figured, well, time to be done.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good segue to what we're going to talk about, because to me, this is all about growth and evolution and beginnings, middle, and ends, and pivoting and starting over and things that are changing. So we are talking today because you posted an article on your blog called AI Isn't Replacing Creatives, It's Changing Where We Add Value. And we're talking here on the last day of the first quarter of 2026, March 31st, because it always feels important to place things in time when you're talking about AI because it's changing so fast. But AI isn't replacing creatives, it's changing where we add value. Tell me, what is this article about? What were you trying to do with it?
Well, I think that so many people are afraid of AI. I find all technology extremely interesting, and I like to dive in and see what's what with each new thing that comes out that involves my world as a creative. And people were really getting worried as designers, as copywriters, that it's going to take over. And I just felt that it wasn't replacing creatives. It was creating a shift of value from really like just sometimes being executors of work, where a client will say, I want you to write an article on this, or I want you to design, an annual report like this, to really direction and being the person that decides really like what should be made, why it should be made, and using your brain versus your skill set. Like in the old days, it would have been creating mechanicals with your rubber cement or wax machine. And now it's, just being a thinker. And I think that AI helps you think because it prompts you, even though you're supposed to prompt it. But I think that it shouldn't take over your world. You can be the person that is the advisor. You have the taste, you have the judgment, you have the clarity, and AI doesn't have those things.
And I, of course, agree with you about all of that. But one thing I was interested in talking about with you also is what you're actually seeing in the world of the clients, and whether it's your clients or the clients of the members of the Creatives Roundtable, how are the clients thinking about or using AI, and how is that affecting your work and their work? Can you share anything yet
Sure.
about that?
Yeah, honestly, it really hasn't affected my clients' work so far, which is lovely. But just recently, somebody was saying that someone came to them for a logo and they didn't say, "We want you to create this logo." They said, "We created these logos on whether it was Canva or Nano Banana or whatever it was, and we want you to clean them up for us." And the
Right.
logo was so convoluted that the designer said, "This is not something I can do for you or that I want to do for you." Writers I know in the community, their work has been cut down because people are using AI to write posts for them or to, well, really, it's been a lot of social media, but they'll also be using them to write articles for their newsletters. And they might say, "We'd like you to edit this." Whereas when I use AI, I might write something and give it to AI to edit it. And one of our Creative Roundtable members said, "Always ask it to put its edits in bold because that way you see where it's making changes." But so I think that people are definitely seeing people trying to use it and seeing how it will be used. I do have one client, however, who has said to me, "We really want to be able to do a lot of this ourselves in Canva." So I've designed things in Illustrator and then I move them into Canva for them. And they then bring me in to clean up their designs. And
Interesting.
I charge a premium for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And would you say that request is based on affordability, thinking it will just be more affordable, less expensive to be able to do it ourselves and then get your polishing of it? Or is there some other reason?
Yeah, I think that that's it. I also feel like, when you look at a job listing now for new people coming out of design school or being, 3 or 4 years in the industry, they want you to write, they want you to design, they want you to do, web development, they want you to do everything.
Hmm.
And so I think if they were having people within their own companies and they expect them to be able to do everything, well, you should be able to design this. Design is nothing, writing is nothing. And so they don't value the service as much as they used to and see the expertise in it and just find that if a computer can do it, it's fine. And it doesn't always look fine or sound fine. So I think that's what's happening.
I think I just heard you say they don't value design as much as they used to. And
Mhm.
I wonder if those people in particular, that tier, if you will,
Yep.
ever valued design or just, in the past, they couldn't do it. So they had to hire someone to do it. And now there's this possibility that, oh, we can do it ourselves, but they don't value it anymore or
Oh,
any less, right?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's, a commodity to them. It's something that their receptionist, their secretary, their executive assistant should just be able to master without a problem.
So then why do you think it's not affecting your business at all or yet or much? And I'm kind of leading the witness here because I am thinking it has something to do with who you're working with as opposed to what you're doing. Does that ring true?
Well, I think it's both. Because what I'm doing is I'm not offering myself as the person that's going to design for them. I'm offering myself as the person who will design with strategy and think with them. So I become a partner in their creative process. And I think that is really, really important. I've had, one client at the University of Oxford where they came to me and asked me to design something for the Hillary Clinton Chair of Women's History. And they said, "We want this 12-page brochure." And I came back to them and I said, "I could do a 12-page brochure, but I think that it really would work better." And they were also talking about the 100th anniversary of women in history. If we wrapped a brochure of Hillary Clinton around a brochure of the women in history for the 100 years. And they loved it. And they liked the fact that I really delve into the materials and I think and I come back to them with ideas. And I think that's part of not being someone that just executes. That's part of someone who can really, really think and use taste and judgment and clarity.
And, I mean, we've been talking for many years, pre-AI, well pre-AI,
Right.
about selling strategy and positioning oneself as a strategic partner, in addition to being, whether it's the designer or the writer or whatever, the marketer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been challenging for creatives. Number one, it seems to me to think of themselves as strategists because they think of themselves as creatives, and or to sell that, to create the marketing materials or the positioning statement that makes it clear to the market that this is what's different about me or us as a design firm. So how is that different with AI? How is that being affected by AI?
I think that there are some people who will feel that AI can determine their strategy, and I'm sure that it will do a great job. I mean, you have your artificial Elise,
Yes.
and everybody loves it. And it definitely gives you a direction on how to do things. But not everybody has artificial Elise in their pocket. And they just go at ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever, and they ask it to come up with ideas for them. And they don't know if they're good because you're not in their pocket, or people like you are not in their pocket. And you have a marketing brain and you help these people. So I feel that if you're just going at AI raw, doing it yourself without any background, without any knowledge of if what it's saying is correct, the strategy is right that it's coming out, you just could be making a lot of mistakes.
Okay, there's so many different ways we could go with this, but I'm going to try to stay on the question that I'm
Sorry.
trying to get at. No, it's okay, because I think that's all true. But what I'm really getting at is this idea of how does a designer or a copywriter position themselves as a strategist with or without AI? Because
I
it
think,
seems to me it's been a challenge forever.
yes. I've never sold it as a separate service myself.
Hmm.
I say that it is part of what I do. And I think that that's been important to my clients. And I think that some people just want to sell strategy, and that's fine. And some people want to call that out as a different
Service.
level,
Hmm.
different service. Thank you for on their itemized proposal or estimate. I don't like to do that. I want them to know that strategy is included in my service, and maybe that is why nobody pushes back on me doing those things.
Hmm.
And I let them know that that is part of what I'm doing. They can't pull it out because it's included. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of times people will send someone either an RFP or a proposal, and they'll say, well, for the strategy, I'm coming up with this. We're going to charge this. And then for the design, we're going to come up with that. And the execution will be, or the deliverables will be the third thing. I don't do it that way. I lump it all together because to me, I can't do one without the other.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I talk to so many people who are kind of repositioning themselves as strategists or adding strategy, and whether they, itemize it as a separate service or not. What I'm seeing also is a resistance in a way to it. Like, on the one hand, they know that this is probably the best approach to take because AI, even if it can't quite yet do as good a job at the design or the writing, will pretty soon probably be able to. So you better lead with your brain, essentially, or lead with the thinking. But one of the things that seems to get in the way is the confidence that I can lead with my brain. And and then also, even how do you market your brain? And because it seems to me creatives love to show their work in their marketing, but that's very difficult to do when you're leading with your brain, when the service or the deliverable is the strategy. I'm curious how you think about all of that.
I think a lot of people are afraid of that. I mean, my website says something like we blend smart marketing thinking, and I think that with the design skills, and I think that that's important. It's like on my homepage. It's upfront. So I think that people just have to realize that they've been doing it for a while and they do have an instinct for it. Most people do, unless they are just people that like to be order takers. And an order taker can eventually, as in my opinion, turn into an AI bot, or I think that can happen. You have you're going to guide your clients. You have judgment. You can give them endless options, and you can feel things that AI cannot feel. And I think that that is one of the things you have to communicate to your audience, to your prospective clients, to the people you talk about and write about, is that your brain is going to work for them, and your feeling and your gut is going to work and help them. And I think that these people should realize that it's worth something.
Maybe the word strategy is part of the problem too, because sometimes I think people have like bugaboos about certain words. And if we reframe it as you're just going to use your brain the way you already do, or you're going to, add value by just revealing the thinking process or the discovery process behind the work that you do, I just think the word strategy can get in the way.
Yeah, and I like the thought of using the word, just saying I'm using the human edge that I come with.
Mm-hmm.
I know when something feels authentic. I know when it has an emotional connection, and it's just not polished, text or visual that could be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
My human edge, is going to be what is going to help. And I think that if people realize that their human edge gives them value, and I agree with you, the word strategy, it really, really, messes some people up. They get flummoxed by it, and they're doing it already. They just don't know.
And I want to go back to the title of your piece here, because it also begs another question, I think. So AI isn't replacing creatives, it's changing where we add value. And one of the things I've been hearing a lot, although not yet seeing, so I'm curious if you are seeing or thinking about this yet, is the idea of the pricing model changing, because, there's hourly pricing, which a lot of people do, and there's fixed project pricing where you just say, here's the price for that project. But now with AI helping, it seems like the expectation is that it should cost less. So are you seeing that? And how are you thinking about that?
Oh, I feel like using AI should cost more, because I know that people are expecting it to cost less, but it depends on what you're using it for, I think. I do not do hourly pricing. I was taught well by you. And I believe in value pricing. I give them options. If they come to me and say something is priced too high, can I do this portion with AI? I will generally say, not with me.
And they ask you that?
I have been asked that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said, I don't work that way. This is my working environment. This is, my tools are my tools. AI is your tool. I only use AI for looking at copy that I might write about my process and asking it for edits or opinions, or I use it to say, give me some ideas for something that might have to do with, okay, I'm designing a campaign for Coca-Cola. I'm not, but I have a Diet Coke on my desk. And come up with some ideas of who that audience might be. So I think it's really good for research. I don't think that clients should pay me for do something that I used to do on my own. I used to just Google it. It's not that much quicker to get it done by AI. It's quicker, but not like, exponentially.
The research you're talking about.
Yeah, the research.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't use it to create creative.
Mm-hmm.
And if people ask me to do that, I can refer them to someone else, but it's just not for me.
It's so interesting. I haven't heard that piece of it yet, but the idea that they would tell you how to do your job, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, can't you just take this piece and do it with AI? No, sorry, that's not how I work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are so many people in different industries in the creative world who have been asked to do very strange things with AI. And, can you just spit out 150 headlines for me? Can you write all the captions for me? You can upload a LinkedIn carousel to AI and say, look at the images and write 3 to 5 sentences for me. And sure, it can do that. But you then have to go back in and make sure that it's understanding, it's feeling, it's the whole visuals works with the text. I just feel like it sometimes takes longer if you use that process. So I wouldn't, I don't think I would do it for my clients.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Just a couple questions that I think are kind of becoming standard questions these days that I'm asking at the end, which is, do you have a favorite personal way that you use AI?
Well, I'm actually trying to move from ChatGPT to either Claude or Perplexity. And our mutual friend Danielle Hughes showed me how to write all of these custom GPTs like your artificial Elise in chat. And I use them they're so great. I've been staying with that right now. I would say.
Wait. Let me make sure I understand. So you're saying you're creating custom GPTs like artificial Elise, but you're doing that still in ChatGPT.
I'm still doing that in ChatGPT. I want to move it over to, I think Claude calls them something else. But what I use them for is I have LinkedIn Lil. I named everyone after my family members. And so I will put in somebody's post on LinkedIn, and I've given it a lot of instruction on how I want to respond. And I ask for a couple of responses, and then I edit it the way I like it and put it in. So it shortens things for me.
So there you're talking about commenting on other people's posts on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I found that's been helpful because it might give me a different perspective.
And your own.
Sometimes it's totally ridiculous. I have Jerry writes blogs. Jerry was my dad. So I will put in my concepts for a blog post, or I will put in my blog post and I will ask it to edit it and see what comes up with that. So I've been finding it, for me, it's really helping with my writing. Then I do use it for research. From everything, where are good restaurants? I'm going to Jazz Fest to eat close to the grounds, or, who are people that are using this product? Those are the ways that I'm generally using it.
Interesting. And so it kind of begs the question I have to ask, this article that we're kind of talking about.
Yep.
How did you use AI in that process?
In that process, I wrote the whole article, and then I asked it to make suggestions in bold for things that I might have missed or misrepresented. And it didn't make a lot of suggestions, but it made a couple that I found interesting. So I actually asked my favorite question, why? And then ask it to explain more. And I made like maybe 3 edits based on that. And that was it. But it was mostly written by me.
Do you feel like people are becoming too dependent on AI, especially for writing?
Yes, 100%. You don't want everyone to sound the same, but you create value. Tools don't create value. People do. So if you're not thinking about this, if you aren't giving it ideas, you are going to be whatever's out there. You are going to be the same. So I would not rely on it so much.
Yeah, I see a lot of people like not wanting to write anything themselves, number one, or publish or post publicly anything themselves that the AI hasn't had some kind of hand in, if you will.
Right.
And it almost feels like a crutch sometimes, like, oh no, I've got to run it through the AI. And then there are even people I've seen kind of go in circles and circles. And because the AI won't ever stop, you have to stop the AI.
Right.
And say enough already, and then, let it be good enough. But I also see some of these problems coming up, and I'm not sure yet how to respond to them or deal with them. But I am finding definitely that people are using it maybe too much.
Yeah. And I think that for most people, the advantage is speed, but for most of them, it should really be discernment. Let's understand what we're talking about. Let's understand what we're creating. And is it really the direction we want to go in, or did the computer tell us to go in that direction? Did the AI? Yeah.
And then who do you believe? I actually had someone in my program was asking a question of artificial Elise, And Artificial Elise answered differently. It was about the 4-step outreach campaign. And, according to my personal advice, I say, do the 4 steps. And apparently Artificial Elise told her not to do it because you shouldn't chase your prospects.
Oh my God.
And she was like, who do I believe? I'm like, you believe me. Do the 4 steps.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes, there are those movies where the robot just goes off and takes, on its own life.
That's right.
That's what it sounds like it did to that person.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. I just feel like a lot of value comes from filtering. We humans are that filter. And again, it's just being back to, let's think with our brains, don't let the computer think for us.
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that seems like a good place to put the bookmark, as they say. So thank you, Nancy. Please tell the people where they can find you and the Creatives Roundtable and anything else in this article.
Sure. The article is on my Ruzow graphics blog, and it's ruzowgraphics.com. Creatives Roundtable is creatives with an S, roundtable.com. And they can find me on LinkedIn as well, under Nancy Ruzow.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we will talk again soon, I'm sure. But thank you so much for sharing this.
Thanks for having me again.
So what do you think? Where do you add value? And where are you becoming dependent? All super important questions to be pondering, I think. And if you want my help figuring all of this out, then I invite you to take advantage of my free mentoring session. You can find that and lots more resources, including my simplest marketing plan, at marketing-mentor.com. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time.